Tonight, an open drug use crackdown.
We are not criminalizing addiction.
Why city police have begun taking a stronger approach, and why some outreach groups are taking issue. Also tonight.
It's human rights work. It's complicated. It's about actually how do we find our shared humanity in our storytelling, through our storytelling.
How the Canadian Museum for Human Rights is responding to criticism leveled against its new Palestinian exhibit. Plus, draft day is underway.
As an organization, it's incumbent upon me to listen.
And the big question remains, what does the future hold for star netminder Connor Hellebuck?
We are not criminalizing addiction. Our focus is on holding traffickers accountable, addressing open drug use where it creates harm, and just as importantly, connecting individuals to support they need.
After months of complaints from residents and businesses, the Winnipeg Police Service is cracking down on open drug use in our city. Wednesday, officers began fanning out over several spots known to be problematic, and they took action. Already, a number of people have been taken into custody and to hospital. During the 10-day sweep, officers will be confiscating drugs and making arrests when warranted. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Hendricks. Marilee is away. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So, Jeff, is this initiative making a difference?
It could be. Winnipeg police say in just 2 days they've already dealt with 100 people using drugs. Police say they underestimated the scope of the problem. After ongoing complaints about open drug use on Winnipeg streets and sidewalks, police are cracking down.
In response to complaints that have been mounting from the community, I'll say it, for months and months now.
And it is not something our community should be expected to accept.
As of Wednesday this week, police started targeting problem areas, mostly in or near downtown. During the 10-day sweep, officers are confiscating drugs from people, making arrests and sending people to the hospital or directing them to services.
Illegal open drug use and trafficking will not be tolerated.
Mayor Scott Gillingham is backing this. He says they have a moral obligation to help those struggling with addiction while keeping the public safe.
People should not have to breathe in toxic drug smoke when they're waiting for a bus. Parents should not have to worry about needles in the park. Business owners should not have to deal with open drug use at their front doorstep.
After just 2 days, police say they've already dealt with 100 people openly using drugs. Of those, 25 were arrested, most for court breaches or outstanding warrants, and 3 were sent to the drug detention center.
In terms of data, I'll tell you, I think that I won't say grossly underestimated, but we underestimated the scope of this problem.
For many in Winnipeg, the crackdown is long overdue.
Right now, there was a guy standing here, just using drugs right now, and I'm like, why are people doing that?
Others aren't as comfortable with the plan.
I think just sweeping them away is probably not the answer.
A number of the city's outreach groups were caught off guard by this. They say workers have witnessed police detain people experiencing homelessness and taking away and destroying their harm reduction supplies.
This represents a criminalization of poverty and of homelessness, and that's deeply concerning to us.
Police say officers are not taking harm reduction items away, but if a needle, say, has drugs in it already, that will be confiscated.
So, Jeff, what happens after the 10-day sweep is done?
Chief Gene Bowers says this will be reassessed to see when they might need to do this again. He also says they will be speaking with the outreach groups about this and where they can work together.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Mounties say a 13-year-old boy is recovering after being shot multiple times on a northern First Nation. Officers responded to the shooting early this morning behind a building at Nisishawak First Nation. That's about 850 kilometers north of Winnipeg. They found the boy with multiple gunshot wounds. He was taken to hospital and immediately underwent surgery. RCMP say he's in stable condition. Anyone with information is being asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. A plane has made an emergency landing on a Manitoba highway. Last night, just after 7, police were alerted to a small aircraft in distress. The single-engine plane was carrying 4 people and was attempting to land on the road. The plane had departed from the PAW and was en route to Brandon. The pilot made the landing on Highway 45 near Sandy Lake. Police say the plane came to a stop in a ditch on the north side of the road. One person was taken to hospital with minor injuries. RCMP have not yet said what caused the emergency. A controversial exhibit at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights is set to open to the public on Saturday. And today, the museum opened its doors to the media for a preview. CTV's Harrison Shin joins us now live with the details. So Harrison, can you tell us a little bit more about this exhibit?
John, the exhibit is called Palestine Uprooted, Nakba Past and Present. The museum says it explores the human rights violations about Palestinians who continue to face displacement. But some critics, including a board member who resigned, say it is one-sided.
And we were asked, get out. Just one suitcase per family.
Nakba means catastrophe in Arabic. It is commonly used by Palestinians to describe mass displacement during the 1948 Palestine War. The exhibit features video testimonies from Palestinian Canadians, art, photos, and more. Several Jewish groups, including the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, have raised concerns to the museum, saying the exhibit could fuel anti-Semitism and lacked meaningful consultation with the Jewish community. One museum board trustee, Mark Berlin, resigned over the exhibit, accusing the museum for putting, quote, ideology instead of accurate history. The museum CEO says it met with Jewish groups in many meetings discussing its work on anti-Semitism and hearing critiques.
One, I think people want to see this work as a binary of one side versus two sides, and it isn't. It's human rights work. It's complicated. It's about actually how do we find our shared humanity in our through our storytelling. One of the critiques, much of the critique has come from people, certainly who haven't been to the museum, and in many cases, or all cases, people who haven't seen the exhibit. And so we're inviting people to see the exhibit so that hopefully that will reassure them.
The CIJA says it is calling on the Canadian Heritage Minister Mark Miller to hold museum leadership accountable. They are also concerned about educational materials connected with the exhibit, saying that can have real-life consequences such as, quote, discrimination, bullying, and assault targeting Jewish students.
So how long is this exhibit going to be at the museum?
John, according to its website, the exhibit will be available from Saturday until November 30th, 2028. The Palestinian community in Canada has been calling on the museum to present their stories since the museum opened back in 2014.
Thanks, Harrison. Tomorrow marks 1 year since Portage and Maine officially reopened to pedestrian traffic. And despite concerns from some that the busy intersection would become a hazard for people walking and cyclists, well, that doesn't seem to be the case. According to Manitoba Public Insurance, there haven't been any collisions involving cyclists or pedestrians at the iconic intersection since it reopened. In fact, there have only been 1 crash each involving a pedestrian and a cyclist in the past 5 years. Those happened in 2024 and 2023, respectively. There have been several dozen vehicle collisions, though, 96 so far this year and 152 in all of 2025. CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now for a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. And today was definitely a great day to be out walking around or cycling.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that tomorrow is the anniversary. I was crossing Portage and Maine this afternoon as a pedestrian, and I was wondering, we have to be getting close to the anniversary. So here we are. And here we are once again. Hit the repeat button all across the province today. There was at least the chance of thunderstorms. And as you can see, just as we've seen the last few nights in a row, non-severe thunderstorms firing off scattered all across southern Manitoba, east into northwestern Ontario. But only have the temperatures been rising, the humidity has as well, and so will the instability, increasingly so, particularly once we get to late tonight and into the weekend. And that could bring the potential for severe weather. I'll talk more about that coming up and show you where we could see that, and a look, of course, at your weekend forecast, and even as far ahead as Canada Day next Wednesday. Let's take a look right now through the CTV Live Eye. It's brought to you by Bath Fitter exclusive home, the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it is 27 degrees. With the humidex, it feels like 29. Winds out of the south at 13 kilometers an hour. The pressure is dropping, and the humidity right now, John, is 39%.
Thanks, Colleen. The NHL entry draft is underway, and along with picking up a new rookie, the Winnipeg Jets could be saying goodbye to a veteran.
As an organization, you're incumbent. It's incumbent upon me to listen, and that's kind of what I've done up until this point.
Speaking with the media ahead of tonight's draft, Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff would not confirm or deny whether goalie Connor Hellebuyck had requested a trade, a rumor that's increased over the past couple of weeks. At the end of the season, Hellebuyck had expressed frustration at the past year and the team's inability to get into the playoffs. Cheveldayoff says he must think of the entire organization when making decisions, such as trading the Vezina winner.
I think, again, that would be, fair to say in the sense that, if you can fill some holes in other areas and do things a little bit differently, then I think you can try to find a way. But if if those holes and those needs aren't met, then, again, that's part of the game.
Cheveldayoff noted the phone calls that he'd been receiving had yet to make him act on a trade. Hellebuyck is locked up for 5 more seasons with a cap hit of $8.5 million a year after he signed an extension in 2024. The Winnipeg Jets have the 8th overall pick in tonight's draft. It's anticipated the team will be making their first-round selection somewhere between 6:45 and 7:30 tonight. We'll be keeping an eye on the draft, and we'll have more when the pick is made. As Canada edges towards legislation meant to protect youth online, a new survey suggests that most teens in the country have encountered real violence or gore on the internet.
What we actually found was that 85% of young people had seen this content. And further, when we asked them about what types of content they were seeing within that category, much of what they talked about was really on the more severe side of what we expected to hear about.
Of the 1,007 youth that were surveyed, more than 7 in 10 had seen videos of physical fights. 65% had viewed police violence, and 52% had watched someone being injured or killed in war. 10% reported seeing child sexual abuse material, and 1/3 had viewed mass or school shooting videos. And the survey results show the vast majority of respondents saw the disturbing content unintentionally.
Only 7% of respondents said that they had sought out this content. So in most cases, they're seeing it because a stranger posted it or because the algorithm is showing it to them. So they're just scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Instagram Reels, seeing, probably some funny videos, some interesting videos, and then all of a sudden there's a video of someone dying in a car accident.
The study's lead author says they've forwarded the results to major tech companies and the Canadian government, along with a list of recommendations. Exposure to graphic material was most common on YouTube, followed closely by TikTok and then Instagram. The results come from an online survey by Leger. Online surveys cannot be assigned a margin of error because they do not randomly sample the population. Massage therapy has officially been designated as a regulated health profession here in Manitoba. The province made the declaration June 16th. It also establishes the College of Massage Therapists of Manitoba for regulating the profession. The Massage Therapy Association of Manitoba praised the move in an online statement, calling it the realization of a goal that has been pursued for decades. The association says further details around registration requirements and timelines are expected in the coming months. Well, once considered a bargain, more and more Manitobans now view our housing prices as unreasonably high. New data from the Angus Reid Institute finds 7 in 10 Canadians say the price to buy a home in their neighborhood is high, a stark contrast to a decade ago. In Manitoba, 67% of respondents say prices are understandably or unreasonably high. That's a jump of 21% from 2016. Winnipeg saw a 23% increase. Now, over the past decade, the average house price in Winnipeg grew by 57%, from 273,000 to 427,000. The online survey of 4,200 Canadians was conducted between June 4th and the 10th and has a margin of error of plus or minus 2 percentage points 19 times out of 20. Winnipeg Park has officially been renamed and revamped. The area formerly known as Odeon Park is now Kevin Walters Plaza. It combines the area adjacent to the Burton Cummings Theatre with the former park. The plaza is named after Kevin Walters, who is a well-known champion of live music and entertainment in Winnipeg. He played a key role in bringing a number of festivals and award shows to the city, including the 2006 Grey Cup Festival, the Canadian Country Music Awards, and the Junos. And it's a fitting tribute as it will serve as a public gathering space for future concerts and cultural events.
Kevin Walters Plaza is another piece of downtown's future. The space will welcome people before concerts, festivals, and events like the Burt Block Party. And it will help showcase everything that makes Winnipeg such a vibrant, creative city that Kevin helped to build.
The $1.25 million project also features a public art installation by artist Frederick Spence. Still to come tonight, the ongoing search for survivors.
We have a total of 25 teams, both search and rescues and medical teams.
A staggering 50,000 people are still missing following twin earthquakes in Venezuela. We'll have the latest when we return. Looking at the markets, crude oil lost $2.69. The loonie closed higher at 70.49 cents U.S. Gold futures added over $48. The TSX gained 129 points. The Dow Jones slipped 44, and the Nasdaq fell 61 points. A crash between a gravel truck and an ATV has left a 19-year-old dead in the RM of Broken Head. Police say the collision took place when an ATV heading east on Road 71 North was hit by a gravel truck heading north on Provincial Road 302. The 19-year-old male driver of the ATV was pronounced dead at the scene. The 60-year-old Steinbeck man who was driving the truck was uninjured. Police are investigating the incident. Rescue teams and relief aid are pouring into Venezuela from more than 20 countries, and the search continues for an estimated 50,000 people missing in the aftermath of the two powerful earthquakes that struck just west of Caracas on Wednesday. The death toll stands at 920 people. Lauren Glassberg reports.
Today, the race against time in Venezuela. Rescue workers painstakingly sifting through massive piles of rubble, searching for quake survivors. One of those rescued, a 4-year-old boy, carried to safety. And now search and rescue teams arriving from around the world.
We have a total of 25 teams, both search and rescues and medical teams from across the world deploying, with a total of 1,000 rescue personnel.
Multiple teams dispatched from the U.S., the first search and rescue response team arriving today with a dozen trained canines, trained for finding people trapped in the rubble. A website for reporting missing loved ones lists more than 50,000 as unaccounted for, with fears the death toll could increase drastically. New video shows the moment the quake hit. You can hear people screaming, glass shattering, dust from a collapsed building filling the streets. The coastal city of La Guardia hit hardest, building after building flattened. This woman, who says she has multiple family members trapped under the rubble, begging for more help from the government. Saying human strength is not enough. They need heavy equipment to help them with the search. And here at home, workers in Florida gathering supplies to aid those displaced.
They're in a state of shock. Some people have lost everything.
The main airport in Caracas suffered catastrophic damage in the quake, complicating search and rescue and aid delivery efforts. Lauren Glassberg, ABC News, New York.
Iran has issued a warning to vessels using the Strait of Hormuz. It comes in the wake of Donald Trump blaming Iran for a drone strike on a cargo ship in the strait. Britt Clennett reports.
Well, Iran has warned commercial vessels to only use routes through the Strait of Hormuz approved by Tehran. And what that's doing is reopening a point of friction in these fragile negotiations ongoing between the United States and Iran over the future of that strategic waterway. We also heard from Iranian state media reporting that 3 foreign oil tankers were turned back in the Strait of Hormuz after encountering warnings from Iran. And that's after a cargo ship was reportedly struck off the coast of Oman while traveling along the Omani-approved route. Now, Iranian state TV, it also says that a communication line has been established between Iran and the United States in the Strait of Hormuz under the final statement of the Switzerland talks to help prevent incidents that could trigger military escalation. Lots of questions over how that mechanism would work, but there are positive signs. As Saudi Aramco, they have restarted loading crude at its main Gulf export hub after a pause of nearly 4 months caused by the conflict. But there are disagreements still over shipping routes and transit fees that could also complicate efforts to reach a permanent agreement. Britt Clennett, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada has no current plans to open embassies in Iran or Venezuela. Anand says that Canada relies on Italy to connect with Canadians in Iran, but admits that using an intermediary isn't the most efficient way of dealing with consular issues. Her comments come after a group called the Iranian Justice Collective said it had heard from an undisclosed source that the federal government intends to reestablish diplomatic relations and reopen its embassy in Tehran. Officials in Northwest Territories say 3 people are dead after a plane crashed fighting wildfires. The Bird Dog aircraft went down near Fort Simpson, west of Yellowknife, on Wednesday evening. Fire officials say they've been to the crash site to confirm the deaths, and there are no survivors. They are now working to recover their bodies. Manitoba's Minister of Natural Resources, Ian Bushy, offered condolences on behalf of the Manitoba Wildfire Service. In a statement, he paid tribute to the crew, writing in part, "Their service reflects the highest ideals of public safety and environmental stewardship." To Europe now, where the number of deaths continues to rise as an unrelenting and deadly heat wave rages across the continent. Here's NBC's Danielle Hamamanjan in Paris.
Well, some good news from the French capital. The worst here has passed. However, temperatures do remain high, not only here in France, but across Western Europe. The hospitals in the capital at a breaking point. There have been dozens of cases of cardiac arrest, and authorities do not want to put any more pressure on those hospitals. They've started banning drinking alcohol in public spaces. They've also banned takeaway alcohol starting this evening throughout the weekend. The Pride Parade was meant to be held tomorrow in Paris, and that usually draws tens of thousands of people. That has now been delayed till September. We're seeing cooling areas for families, cooling baths in the street for people suffering from heat stroke and sunstroke. Now, scientists say the stifling heat wave gripping Western Europe is the most severe ever recorded. In Spain, public health officials believe up to 500 people may have been killed by this heat wave, and that is based not on a register, but based on previous mortality and temperature records. In the UK, London's ambulance service said Thursday it recorded its highest ever number of life-threatening emergencies just in one day. The Netherlands issuing its first ever red alert for heat, and Switzerland registering its hottest day ever in June. Now, temperatures have started to dip here as this heat wave starts moving towards Eastern Europe. Danielle Hamamjian, NBC News, Paris.
The CN Tower is celebrating its 50th birthday today. The iconic landmark opened on June 26, 1976. At the time, it was the world's tallest self-supporting structure at just over 553 meters. A 50th birthday party was being held on the patio at the base of the tower this afternoon. It featured games, music, and a giveaway of 553 cupcakes, one for each meter of the tower. Now, some of the attendees were at the original opening 50 years ago.
I was 12 in that year, and I've been up, this would be number 28 for me.
Number 28.
Time's up it.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's something we're always guilty of, is not enjoying the things in our own backyard, and it's something that, you know, maybe you have friends from out of town visiting and you bring them to the CN Tower, but it's an incredible place to visit any time of year.
Tonight, there will be a light show to celebrate the occasion.
I hope that people watch the show and they sort of can change their minds of how they feel about sort of how the res is portrayed.
The community may be fictional, but the sense of community is all too real. Still ahead, we take you behind the scenes of the Made in Manitoba Indigenous comedy series, Acting Good.
This will, for the most part, be a soggy weekend in much of southern Manitoba, including here in the city. Certainly by Sunday, but that will start sooner. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes. But the long-range forecast starts Sunday with showers, maybe thunderstorms, good chance of thunderstorms, 25 degrees. Steady rain, intermittent showers, thunderstorms on Monday, 25 degrees. A chance of more on Tuesday. Canada Day, though, hot and sunny with a high of 27.
A Made in Manitoba sitcom is wrapping up filming on its 5th season. Acting Good is inspired by its co-creator and stars life growing up in Poplar River First Nation. And as CTV's Daniel Halmerson reports, the larger-than-life comedy is showing no signs of slowing down.
The fictional fly-in reserve of Grouse Lake isn't that different from Paul Ryblowskis' home community of Poplar River First Nation in northern Manitoba. But the comedian turned actor says Grouse Lake is a little bit more fun.
This is a cartoon world and this place is crazy, but Poplar River is very crazy too, in the best way possible. Everything that's sort of the human aspect and real of the show comes from Poplar River, and it comes from real people.
And those people and their stories come to life on his CTV Comedy Channel series, Acting Good.
About a guy who goes home with his tail between his legs and he's just always trying to win over his family, but keeps making a mistake because he's a man-child.
The show is wrapping up filming on its 5th season, and executive producer Phyllis Lang says it's carved out its own identity in the sitcom world.
We have the ability to have Indigenous storytelling that is comedy. That's pretty unique.
And Ryblowskis says season 5 continues to shed light on life in remote communities and make light of it too.
90% of the stories that come out of the north is negative. It's like, oh man, you know, it's forest fires and it's just crime. And I hope that people watch the show and they sort of can change their minds of how they feel about sort of how the res is portrayed. Because I tell everybody the res is the most beautiful place in the world.
And the series is also breaking down barriers for Indigenous talent like actor Cheyenne Sapp, who plays Ryblowskis' on-again, off-again girlfriend Rose.
As a young Indigenous girl growing up on the res, I didn't see a whole lot of myself and people like me represented on screen. If I can be that person for, you know, who I was when I was small, then that's a great big deal.
The first 4 seasons of Acting Good are streaming on Crave, and season 5 will premiere on CTV Comedy Channel at a later date.
I think this is by far our craziest, funniest season, and I can't wait for people to tune in.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady has your complete Skywatch weather forecast, and I guess watching some swirling weather that could be troubling for us.
Well, things are shifting around us across the continent, and that could set up the possibility of an awful lot of rainfall just to start in places that frankly don't need any more at this particular point in time, but more is on the way, and severe thunderstorms are likely in the mix throughout the weekend at different points in time and into next week. So it'll be an interesting few days and nights ahead. Now we're starting now with non-severe thunderstorms across southern Manitoba, scattered, but I want to point out Dauphin. You have a line of non-severe thunderstorms that have passed through that community, St. Rose du Lac as well. Looks like Swan River over there on the western edge. Now the Parkland area is one region where Environment Canada says Saturday night into Sunday there's the potential for 30 to 40 millimeters of rain, and depending on convection, i.e. thunderstorm development, there could even be more. I'll show you that in a bit more detail in just a moment. But here in Winnipeg, we're not seeing any activity now, but there's still the risk of thunderstorms. I know, I've been saying that all week long. Further to the east, though, we're seeing some non-severe thunderstorms that have passed through places like Lac du Bonny and further east into northwestern Ontario, closer to Kenora and the Dryden area. They're not too far from Red Lake as well. So conditions similar all across the province tonight, top to bottom. In fact, the warmest place today was Gillam, Manitoba, getting up into the upper 20s. We weren't far behind here in the south. As we go throughout the next few hours, instability is going to build. We'll have an upper trough of low pressure building over the western U.S. That's basically going to trigger a southwesterly flow of air into Canada and into the prairies, and that is going to create more instability as we get into Saturday. It doesn't look like much, I know, overnight into Saturday morning, but you see things start to get interesting over here. As we go throughout the day, well, there's a good chance, it's not a certainty, but it's a good chance a lot of places, including Winnipeg and across southern Manitoba, will see some rain, and you can see potentially substantially so for areas closer to the international border. But it's when we get to Saturday night, then we could well be in for a soaking, and you can see that's reflected in the futurecast across much of southern Manitoba. The north, though, you can see by contrast relatively clear, but that rain will keep on coming at us into Sunday and into early next week here in the south. So for tonight, still a risk of thunderstorms this evening. 16 is the low. Southeast winds will take us into tomorrow morning. Mainly cloudy for Saturday morning, but once we hit mid-morning, the winds will strengthen out of the south. There's a good chance of showers in the afternoon with a high, maybe a little bit warmer than 19, not too much though. The UV index for Saturday is 3 or moderate. Quick swing around the province. We'll head up first into the northeast. Partly cloudy around the region tonight. Overnight lows between 11 and 13. Thompson down to 12. Sunny there tomorrow and warm. 28 degrees, 27 for Gillam and Island Lake. A few clouds over Flin Flon and the Paw and OCN down to 15 tonight. Sunny around the region tomorrow. Hot highs in the upper 20s. The southwest tonight partly cloudy with a thunderstorm risk. Those thunderstorms moving through now. A good chance you'll see showers or more thunderstorms developing. Highs in the low 20s. Winnipeg in the southeast partly cloudy tonight. Mid-teens are overnight lows. Good chance of showers or thunderstorms tomorrow. Barons River bright and sunny. And in northwestern Ontario, again, partly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows in the mid-teens. Cloudy there tomorrow with a good chance of showers in various places, including Fort Frances, but really around the region. Look how stunning this photo is. Jordan sent this in earlier today from his view, I believe, up on the 17th floor of the building he's in, of course, here in Winnipeg. And this is a look out at beautiful Kildonan Park, also here in the city, from Debbie. Send us your photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
You forget your family, you forget your kids. In fact, it's like you almost want to avoid it.
Providing a safe space for those who keep us safe. A symposium looks at new methods for first responders to treat PTSD and protect their mental health. Medical Watch is next.
The FIFA World Cup is inspiring a lot of excitement for the sport of soccer for fans of all ages across our country. It's creating so much buzz. It's even creating new fans. Canada's Secretary of State for Sport, gold medal Olympian, and Canada's FIFA Sherpa, Adam Van Koeverden, is in Manitoba to promote FIFA in this country. And joining us now is Canada's FIFA Sherpa, Adam Van Koeverden. Good morning, Adam.
Hi, nice to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for being with us. It's exciting what's happening in our country right now. Being a host country, what does it mean to Canada to be able to be a part of FIFA?
Well, Canada's really good at hosting sport events. I think, Winnipeg especially. Actually, sport was the first thing that brought me to Manitoba. In 1997, I came to compete at the Canada Games when I was 15. Winnipeg's hosted the Pan Am Games. A lot of our cities are really good at hosting international sporting events, and Toronto and Vancouver are no stranger to that, having hosted, the Pan Ams and the Olympics. So FIFA is bringing a whole nother level of excitement to both cities, but really right across the country. And our job as federal government is to make sure that FIFA impacts all communities in a positive way, both from a social perspective, an economic perspective, visibility. We want everybody to feel part of it. And I've only been in Winnipeg for a couple of hours, but it's evident the buzz has definitely reached Manitoba as well.
So you're here for a few different reasons. You're making some announcements and some really cool things happening around town. Tell us about that.
Yeah, today we're going to a barbecue and visiting with the Winnipeg Aboriginal Sport and Recreation Association, just highlighting this really exciting week, not just in terms of FIFA, but it was also Indigenous Persons Day on Sunday and Multiculturalism Day tomorrow. And with Heritage Canada, the federal government has provided funding for about 400 soccer-themed events across the country, many of which are here in Winnipeg, on Canada Day, for Saint Jean Baptiste, and Multiculturalism Day and Indigenous Persons Day as well. So it's just fun to incorporate soccer into all of these, themed events. events and celebrations, and in some cases days off of work, and highlight the importance that sport, physical activity, and recreation play in all of our lives. I think the biggest legacy for the FIFA Men's World Cup will be a higher level of participation. Physical activity is really important for us, and mental health and physical health, but also just the health of our communities too.
And you're seeing a lot of interest. You're seeing more kids wanting to play soccer as a result of this. Have you heard that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we want to ensure is that when Canada Soccer receives way more interest and all of our local clubs and municipalities say, hey, my kid wants to sign up, that we want there to be capacity. We want every kid, child, family to be welcomed into those club environments, whether it's just for a free drop-in session or they want to sign up to play, rep or something like that. There's a lot of talent in Canada. We've known that forever, right? Sports talent is everywhere. We want there to be more opportunity too, not just in soccer or football or whatever you call it, but for all sports.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on with Team Canada right now. They did lose that big game, but it's history making nonetheless. And on Sunday, they're going to LA. Tell us about why that is a positive thing.
Well, look, 2 years ago, if you told anybody in Canada who's a soccer fan or our men's team that they would be advancing past the group stage, I think they'd all be elated and they probably wouldn't be so concerned about the details, right? But we can't forget that historic match, that 6-0 victory over Qatar. That was amazing. What a generational demonstration that Canada is a soccer nation. And soccer fans and people who have been playing soccer have been saying that for decades, that Canada is a soccer nation. Like, we have an Olympic gold medal in soccer, Canada's a soccer country. And they proved it. And they're proving it still by going on past the group stage, into the tournament play. And on Sunday, they're going to be playing against South Africa, which, it's tough to lose that. And we would have loved to keep them in Vancouver. But they're going on to play against a beatable team. Like, we can win this. The South Africans are world class, but so are our guys. And on paper, I think, knock on wood, Canada's got a great shot.
We're almost out of time already, but economically, the FIFA games have brought so much money, not just to Toronto and Vancouver, but also on a local level. Bars are filled. There's lots of people participating in this. What does it mean to our country?
It's great. It's a huge economic boon. It's a great opportunity, not just for hospitality sectors, but in the media sector, broadcasters, hotels, restaurants, everything has gotten a little bit of a boost at a time when, frankly, our economy could use it. We're expecting that the FIFA Men's World Cup will add about $2 billion to our economy. And I saw that, locally. I went, when I arrived yesterday, I went down to Lake of the Woods for a pint and I watched the game with a bunch of locals, and it was a good time. I'm not sure that restaurant would necessarily be open at that time of night if it wasn't for FIFA. So it's good for our economy, but it's also inspiring a generation of kids.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Go Canada, go.
Go Canada, go.
Sunday is PTSD Awareness Day, and while much progress has been made in the treatment of PTSD for Canada's first responders, a recent symposium examined areas where more must be done. Here's CTV's Pauline Chan.
When you're a police officer, you're the one that's called for help. You're not the one that needs help.
Teresa is a 22-year police veteran from Manitoba.
I looked at the uniform and I wanted to be part of something important.
She loves her job, but in her desire to excel in caring for others, her own health deteriorated.
You forget your family, you forget your kids. In fact, it's like you almost want to avoid it.
A couple of years ago, she left work and sought help, but it wasn't easy.
I hate it here, I don't want to be here. So that was the first thing I noticed, right? So, but then as I got here and I met other people that have basically fought the same battle as me, what I like to think of it is we're all on the same boat fighting different pirates.
A recent symposium in Kelowna, hosted by Diversified Rehab, looked at the latest in PTSD treatments for first responders.
Aside from mental health stigma, aside from not reaching out, we are still operating in silos. And the symposium is a classic example how those silos could be taken apart in literally minutes.
One of the feedback pieces that they received was that leaders need training. How do you lead others? How do we take care of our people around us and build those relationships where trust is the foundation?
In September, we're going to be launching first workshop for leaders to come, join us, so they can gain the right skills.
RCMP Sergeant Rob Ferrer is the new leader of the National Police Federation and says the need is urgent.
The suicide rates have not diminished, and that is where really, that's the one
to me, the biggest and most glaring red flag that we need to change.
Teresa says she came into the treatment program with a lot of anger, but its special focus on the needs of first responders helped.
We were able to relate immediately with the sensations, with the emotions, with the loneliness, with the anger. That was like a big one.
When you talk about mental health, different individuals will react positively to different type of support, and that's why we have this array of services that are available to them.
Teresa's main message is for others to know they're not alone. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
A Manitoba alt-rock band is getting ready to perform for the hometown crowd. Plus, the gates open on another foot-stomping edition of Dauphin's Country Fest. Spotlight is next.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Las Vegas headliner Terry Fader.
Well, the day country music fans have circled on their calendar has finally arrived. Dauphin's Country Fest is officially underway. The festival actually kicked off last night with headliner J.J. Wild taking the stage, following performances from Ledwin and the Haleys. Other headliners this weekend include Jelly Roll, Nate Smith, and Tyler Hubbard. The festival runs until Sunday, and if you want to check it out, it's not too late. At last check, there were some weekend passes still available. Just head to countryfest.ca. Well, here's some of the events taking place in Manitoba this weekend. There's a lot. The 17th annual Sakiwe Festival includes a pair of block parties and a series of performances. Connect with the Loveville Music Festival over at the Forks. Osborne Village hosts a free all-ages music festival. Dauphin, Killarney, and McGregor have their annual fairs. Travel down the river to learn about Winnipeg's hidden history of graffiti. Brandon celebrates the 80th anniversary of its libraries. Ashern is hosting its Pride celebration. Enjoy a multicultural picnic in the park with the Philippine Heritage Council of Manitoba. Rock out to the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical Jesus Christ Superstar at Rainbow Stage as well. You can find a full list of events this weekend on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. A rising Winnipeg alternative rock band is gearing up for a big hometown show this fall. Neighbor Andy is set to play the Burton Cummings Theatre. The Manitoba group's music is influenced by an array of genres, including folk and funk. It's best known for songs like Courtney and Pacifica. The show kicks off October 24th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets go on sale next Friday at 10 a.m. through Ticketmaster. Disney Plus and Hulu have released the trailer for the second coming of the King of the Hill reboot.
Say, never leave home without your welder's kit.
He does always say that, but I still often forget.
And spoiler alert, Bobby and Connie are officially a couple as Hank and Peggy continue to settle into retirement life in Arlen, Texas. The series returned for its 14th season last year after a 15-year hiatus. Season 15 debuts on July 20th. Toy Story 5 is expected to hold on to the top spot at the weekend box office.
Bonnie needs help from someone at least from the same century. So long, toys.
Deadline's box office forecast suggests the Disney Pixar sequel is on track for $90 million U.S. across North America in its second weekend. That will be more than enough to take the wind out of the sails of Supergirl, which is flying into a second-place debut with ticket sales between $40 to $50 million. Another new entry this weekend is Jackass. Best and Last, billed as a farewell to the slapstick gross-out comedy franchise. There you have it. Your Friday primetime lineup starts with the true crime documentary series Spring Break Murders. That's on at 7. Crime Scene Investigators comes next at 8. And Boston Blue wraps things up at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Your opportunity to host the world's largest picnic awaits. The story behind this unusual building, now up for sale in Ohio, and how it could be yours, still ahead.
Women's clothing provided by RW and Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Pretty much on par with where we were on this day a year ago. 27 the highest temperature today, 26.9 on this day 1 year ago. Tonight, partly cloudy, down to 16. 23 our high tomorrow. Good chance of showers by the time we get to the afternoon. Certainly by tomorrow night, continuing Sunday into Monday. Canada Day, hot and sunny.
Thanks, Colleen. A picnic basket has gone up for sale in Ohio. And while that may on its own not attract a lot of attention, there's something about this one that sets it apart. See if you can spot it. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This 7-story building is recognized by the Guinness World Records as the largest basket-shaped building. It was once the home of the Longburg Basket Company, which eventually folded, and plans to turn it into a hotel were reportedly stymied by the pandemic. Now the 180,000 square foot basket building can be yours for the low price of $8.5 million. And just in case you were wondering, those handles up there even heat up to prevent ice. And I guess I'm very disappointed. I bought the second biggest basket-shaped building just a month ago.
Time to expand, John.
There you go. We'll see you at 11:30. Good night.